Incredible, excuse me. Incredible greetings, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Incredible greetings. We are going to go over here and edit the privacy on this. Let's go public. As you guys can see from the thumbnail, we are going to talk about different print methods that can be used for personal and or your customs and craft business. This is something that came up on yesterday during one of my lives. I have done videos on the various print methods, but this is going to be our 2023. I should have put that in the thumbnail. I'll redo my thumbnail. But this is going to be the 2023 version. Not much, different. I think I'm trying to remember if the last time I talked about DTF in depth, but yeah, I'm not sure if I did or if I didn't. But we're going to talk about that in this one as well, and just various print methods and how they can be beneficial to you. And I'm going to put this disclaimer here at the beginning, especially for those who are watching the playback of this, but I'm also going to mention it again somewhere towards the middle. So if you're on right now, be prepared to hear this part again. Although I am about to go over different print methods, I am not saying that you need to go out and purchase all of these printers. You have to understand what their benefits are and when you have like a real need to have it in-house. Outsourcing is 1000% okay, guys. I encourage outsourcing as long as possible to justify purchasing some of this equipment, because it can get very, very pricey. Even what some people consider to be a beginner or entry level printer can still cost you a couple $1,000s. So although I'm going to go over these methods and what the benefits of each one is, I am not by any stretch of the imagination saying you need to get all of these printers, or you need to have all of these printers to be successful. That's actually something that I really just don't believe in, that you have to try and do everything just because you are a craft business or a customs business. I don't believe that you should be doing every single thing that you see in these groups. I'm a firm believer, and that's the fastest way to make no money and to go broke. All right. So as you guys come in, go ahead, drop a hey, how you doing? Let me know where you are watching from, or just, find that wave emoji, drop a wave, drop a hand, and just say, hey. Make sure that you guys give the video a thumbs up, give it a like. You guys already know I've never been on live and never dropped major gems that don't deserve a like, but I don't want you guys to get caught up in the information and then you leave here and you forget to give this video a thumbs up or a like. It's so funny because I know if someone just had a rant video saying, why do you guys get on and if the first thing you say is give the video a thumbs up? I don't know if I don't like the information. Well, if you are not new here and you know the knowledge that the professor drops, it's worthy of a thumbs up or a like, a heart, a share, a tag. If you are new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are a first timer, let me know in the comment section that you are a first timer here so that we can properly welcome you. And I hope that by the middle of this video, you will see that it was worth that like, that share, that tag. All right. So I now need to share this out. I encourage you guys to share it out as well. So just give me a few moments to go ahead and get this all shared out, and we're going to get right into this. All right. So be right back. Incredible greetings, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing? I am Shakia, the professor of HSINK365. We are the home of the Honestly Speaking brand of products, 365 Creative Academy, Sillaholics Anonymous, all resources to help you in your creative endeavors. Whether you are someone who wants to learn how to cut and do crafts with paper, adhesive vinyl, HTV, DTF, sublimation, eco-solvent, white toner, latex, banners, posters. I'm your girl. From the design side to understanding the print methods to troubleshooting, getting a breakdown and understanding what's going to be right for you. I'm your girl. And then also on the business side, we do have a creative business program where we go over marketing, branding, pricing, and things of that nature. So this fall is going to be amazing. Make sure that you guys go to our website and click on the list to get on the list for class updates. That way you know about our creative business program. And it will be broken up into those who are true beginners. It's like, hey, I'm not quite ready for a website. I want to know how to do this with, just order forms and like on a small scale. I'm okay with being local. So we've done some sessions on that, and we're going to just expound on that come the fall once the new semester at our academy starts. So be on the lookout for that. But today we are going to talk about various print methods that are common within the creative or craft business. There's someone last night, I was watching their video on draping and things like that. And she said something, and I'm like, you know what? I got to kind of just embrace it to be able to get to the people who need this information and then give them the proper terminology. So I have surrendered to using the words craft business. But if you've been here for a while, you know that that's not one of, it's almost like a bad word for me. Because I just think that when you're in business, it should just be business. Nike, Adidas, just other companies, they make shirts as well. Cat and Jack at Target, Wonder Nation, like all the ones that, like, they make shirts, they have designs on them. They call that a craft business? No, they just have a business. Those who make candles, like you have all these major candle companies, soap companies, do they say they have a craft business? No, but it's like once we start learning these things, I mean, it's just kind of popular right now to call it like a craft business. And I think that other people think that becomes a no-brainer. So that's one of the reasons why I don't, but I'm embracing it for SEO purposes. And that's another thing that we will talk about in the creative business program. And I've talked about that before, your SEO, which is your search engine optimization, and how people are going to find you, those keywords when you are doing content to get people to come into your live broadcast or watch your video, for it to show up on their feeds based off of what they watch. So I'm embracing the whole craft business thing, I guess. All right. But like I said, today we're going to talk about all the different print methods that are commonly talked about in a lot of the craft groups and within the craft industry. Okay. So I'm trying to think, where should we get started? First, let's say hello to a few people. All right. I know we're 11 minutes in. If you're watching the playback of this, if you've gotten this far, just give it a few more minutes, but you'll probably jump ahead. But I just want to say, I don't, ever really do my lives without saying hello to people. I know some people don't like it, but you have to understand the difference between a live broadcast and one that is pre-recorded. And this is a live broadcast, and we can't really go back into YouTube and all that stuff and edit. Like, well, you can, but it creates a new one, and it's a bunch of stuff. You'll be okay. Okay. Just jump ahead if you know it's alive and know that I'm going to talk to people. Okay. I will say, if you have specific questions, if there is a specific print method that you are interested in, please write it in the comment section. That way, if I do see that I have quite a few people who are interested in that, I might spend a little bit more time on a few more extra seconds on that print method. So let me know in the comments while I go and say hello to a few folk. Let me know which print method you are most interested in. If you don't already do it, let me know which print methods you're already using. All right. So let's see. Incredible greetings from coastal GA. Hello, how art thou? Incredible morning, incredible morning. Hey, hey, hey. Thank you for joining us this morning. Hello, how art thou? Hey, honey bunt. All right. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, Lama. How you doing? From North Kakalaki. Hello, Florida's in the building again. Ooh, someone else. Oh no, that's the same one. Okay, no, I was just saying somebody else from coastal Georgia, but we saw that one. Hey, Danny, how art thou from Long Island, New York? It's free to give a thumbs up or to share. Yes, it is. It is free to be able to go ahead and give a thumbs up or share. All right, also from North Kakalaki. Thank you for clicking that thumbs up button. Hello, Linda. Make sure that you also exit out of the live chat, go to the main one, and give it a thumbs up right there. Hello, Miss Trina from Baltimore. Hello, Erastus. How art thou? Good morning, Miss Cindy. How are you, Miss Miller? How art thou? Hello, hello, hello. Incredible greetings. Hello, Florida's in the building again. Hey, we can have another Florida takeover like we did yesterday. Hello, Deb from the UK, Sacramento, California. Hello, hello, hello. All right. Okay. So still waiting to see which print methods you guys currently use and which ones you are interested in information on. I mean, I'm going to go over a lot, but I wanted to make sure, if it's not something that you're doing, I don't want to spend too much time on it. My goal is to get through all of these in about a good 45 minutes, no more than an hour, because I do have someone that's coming over to the office today. Okay, who I'm super excited about seeing. So one of our fellow creatives is coming by. So I'm excited about that. Okay, I'll start with, I guess maybe I'll go in order of, I'll start with the ones that I got into, where I'm at now, and things of that nature. So, like pretty much everyone, we know of like printers and desktop printers, printers in the house, like printers in your home or home office printers. Oh, wait, you know what? First, let's back up. There are really like three types of printers like that are commonly known. You have your inkjet printers, you have your laser or toner printers, and you have thermal printers. And then like people, they'll say like with screen printing, like that is printing, but that is you like physically pushing, using a squeegee to push ink through a mesh. But as far as like from an actual machine where it's going to do it for you, it requires no manual labor, although there are automatic screen printing machines as well. But you have, like I said, you have your inkjet, you have your laser, you have your thermal, I guess offset printing, and then like the old school printing press where they take the ink and they create the they create the plates, and then they put the ink on it, and it's a machine, and you have to turn it, and then it connects with it. I actually love old school printing and printing plates and things like that. So you have like a regular, what's called like a printing press. And that's like kind of like old school. But when it comes to like the newer ones, most times it is some form of inkjet printing, laser printing, thermal printing, and offset printing are like some of the bigger ones that that are common nowadays. So of course we know like regular inkjet printers, there can be several within that. So most commonly was dye-based inks. That's the printer that everyone's had. You used to have the printer and it had one black cartridge, one color cartridge, and people tend to still think along those lines when it comes to like, well, man, it's going to cost so much money to print all this out. These little cartridges cost money. They run out so fast. And there's a few that kind of still have those too. But for the most part, most printers have moved into a 4-channel CMYK where everything has its own channel. Back in the day, when it comes to those, if you had something that was heavy and pink, because all that ink was in that one cartridge, if you had something like you had a print that was heavy in one particular color, that cartridge would run out, and it's like, dang it, I didn't even do a lot of prints, but it will run out. But now a lot of printers have the individual channels for CMYK, which is cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. But you have your dye-based printers, there are pigment ink printers. Contrary to popular belief, sublimation is inkjet. So people always say, oh, is it sublimation or is it inkjet? Well, sublimation is inkjet because that's how the ink is expelled out. So sublimation is inkjet, people. Eco solvent, latex, those are inkjet printers. When you get into the laser printers, your white toner printers, that's like laser printing. DTF is inkjet printing, guys. DTG is inkjet printing. And then you have like your thermals, which would be like when you're using your like my Rolo. We have what is this one? A Dymo and things like that. Those are like your thermal printings. Although like Canons and HP, some of them like they use thermal printing, it still expels ink. So with those type of printers, they, in order to get the ink out, it basically it boils it inside and it's like heat, and then it comes out, which is why they say you cannot let your inks go out because you can burn that because it gets so hot. So the ink is what cools it down. Whereas with an Epson printer and Brother printers and some other ones, they are what's called piezoelectric. They use a crystal. There's no heat involved, which is why, well, I don't know what's going on with these inkjet, with these EcoTank printers while they're all clogging up. But normally when it comes to these printers, you don't really get a lot of damaged print heads due to not using it or letting your ink run out because there is no heat involved in how it prints. Okay. So that's kind of that. So most of the things that we're going to talk about actually falls under inkjet printing. And then your laser would be your toner-based printers, whether it is just your standard laser printer, if it's your white toner printer, and then what's called, like they call it digital printing, but it's really just a really freaking huge laser printer. All right. So let's see what we have over here. Baltimore in the building. Hello from Kansas. I'm using a color laser printer. Want to find out if inkjet is better. Okay, info on white toner printers. As you know, I use sublimation currently. I'm interested in either DTF or white toner. Currently using sublimation and laser printing. Just received my order from Honestly Speaking, all packs of paper sublimation ink on Monday. Waiting to get a second ET16650 to use as a sublimation printer. Awesome. Currently using inkjet, Epson 7710 for sublimation, Epson EcoTank, pigment ink, your ink, of course. Awesome. And then hello from Maryland. Okay. So I've done this breakdown. I'm going to tell y'all now, I geek out about this. I am obsessed with printers. I can overshare. It will be a lot of information to take in. I recommend coming back to this live video or this playback with pen and paper and write down the information that is going to be most important to you, because I geek out. I'm telling y'all now, I geek out when it comes to printers. This is like my happy place. This is my zone. Okay. I'm going to start off by showing you guys some inkjet, some ink print, some ink, inkjet inks. Dang, that was a lot to say. So you can see the differences in color, which will make the explanation. So I think if I show you the inks first, it'll make more sense as I'm explaining it. I'm hoping that it does. Okay. So your typical printers would have what's called dye-based ink. And how you would know the difference between dye-based ink and a lot of the other inks is if you wet it and it runs even a little bit, because a lot of printers now will have what's called photo black, and that can somewhat help minimize how much it runs. But dye ink is dye ink and it will run when wet. Like if you do a nozzle check and you put water on it, all of the regular colors should run. And then pigment ink is also just like your regular ink. You can just print out with that one. That's what you'll print letters with, term papers. I mean, like maybe stickers, like on labels, the labels for like your old school envelopes, Normally we're doing that with inkjet printers. Inkjet printers take a little bit longer to print because of how it's doing it line by line by line by line by line by line, and it's going back and forth. So the inkjet printers typically take longer to print than a lot of other print methods. And then if it's a printer that prints bidirectionally, which means it goes both ways, versus just omnidirectional, and it only drops down ink one way, which is like how my rolling is, which is why it takes forever to print. So this is from Epson, and this is dye-based ink. Ooh, good catch, good save. So this is dye-based ink from two different companies. We have Epson and we have Canon. Each one based off of their firmware, how their printers are made. One uses piezoelectric, so it uses a crystal. The other one uses heat. So although they are both dye-based inks, they will look a little bit different. Although, like, I guess in the lighting for you guys, you can't really tell like how dark one is compared to the other. So I'm holding over here, I'm going to hold over there. But this is dye-based ink. You don't see the color. So we see this bright pink on the label or magenta on the label, but the ink itself, oh, look, there we go. So now you can see it. Okay. And it definitely looks, I wish you guys can really see how different they are. Like the colors are definitely different. They're not created equal. Their formula is mixed together, and how much color they put into it is based off of their technology, their print heads, how it prints out, how it reads the ink, how it mixes the ink. But this is a magenta. Here is cyan, which is your blue. Okay, let's see if I can get that to tilt to where you can see the color in it. But that's your cyan, okay? And then your yellow. So that one you can really see a difference in the two. Yet in their respective printers, they will print out and give you yellow. They will print out and give you magenta. They will print out and give you blue. Okay, so that's that. Now, this is actually water-based eco-solvent ink. Can anyone want to take a guess at what color this is? Anyone want to take a guess at what color this particular ink is? This is water-based eco-solvent ink. Inks normally don't come in like colors like that. There are some that have like orange and light magenta, but normally you'll find like your CMYKs. So I have a blue, cyan, I see a black here, I see magenta, I see blue, I see cyan, I see magenta, I see cyan, cyan, cyan or blue. Okay. Y'all ready to see what color this is? Let's see if it'll show up. Can you tell now what color that is? I'm showing TikTok first. Now that I've tilted, can you tell what color that is? What color is that? Exactly. It is yellow. Someone says, wow. Yes. So over here, Miss Cindy, yellow. Exactly. This is yellow. So but if you were to take this and put it in the printer based off of how it's supposed to output and what you're supposed to print it on, you're going to get yellow from this. And when it's in the bottle, it looks like this, right? So there are printers although it is not quite as dark as this, if you were to use the eco-solvent ink, in a printer that uses dye-based ink, you will get better color accuracy. All right. Now, this is pigmented ink. The properties of the pigmented ink, you'll get great colors. The color gamut, which means the range of colors that it can actually print out and produce, is not as wide as these. You get a larger color gamut. This ink will easily give you those neon colors without having to have like that fluorescent or neon ink. You can reach those kind of like neon looking greens and yellows and reds and blues and things like that with the dye ink. It also, because it's darker, back in the day before all this new technology, screen printers used to like to print out their transparencies from straight up black dye-based inks because it's so dark. Like it's dark. You can already tell from the ink. It starts off as like just dark. It's not super bright. So a lot of screen printers used to use it for their transparencies because it just made it easier to burn the image. It was blocking the light because the ink was so dark. So that's a little ink history. But this is pigment ink. So with pigment, like I said, it has less color gamut, but you can get, certain colors, and it is water resistant. Meaning, if you print out with it and you wet it, the ink will not run. So back in the day, you're going to show your age. Back in the day, you would print something out, something weighs on, it's like, oh shoot, and it will just run, right? This, it will not happen. Now, if your paper is kind of like a cheapy paper, your paper might still tear, but the image on there will not run at all. Once it dries, you could possibly see like some watermarks on it, but your image itself, the edges of it, is going to look just as clear and crisp as the day that you printed it. So this is pigment ink. And I can't believe my happy-go-lucky tail did not print. Luckily, I have one back here. My darn sublimation ink. Okay. So this is sublimation ink. So this is from Epson. This is our sublimation ink. Okay. So this is sublimation ink. With sublimation, although it kind of it can look, so if you're looking at, I'm just going to do all of ours. So sublimation, pigment, dye-based inks. All right. Which ink is sublimation ink closest to? So this is the sublimation ink. This is the pigment ink. This is the dye-based ink. Which one is sublimation closest to? Pigment, 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 pigment. Okay. So this is why the professor always says, when it comes to sublimation, the printers that I recommend are pigment ink based printers. So that would be your workforce printers. That would be your, if you want an eco tank, it would be the 16600, 16650, so that you can get, closer to accurate type colors. When you are using sublimation ink in an eco tank printer that uses this type of ink, this is why your colors are off. I don't care what brand you use, whether it's ours or another brand. sublimation ink is based off of a pigment ink profile because of how it's supposed to print out. It's not based off of a dye type profile and how this, like, it's like there's a special way that ink is mixed and stuff like that to get this to be yellow on your paper. Okay. So eco tanks, you're going to have issues with them when it comes to using sublimation ink in a printer that's made for dye-based ink. So hopefully that clears it up, because people always ask me why I never recommend the 15,000, the 8550. I'm not saying that they cannot be used. They are a heat-free printer, so technically they can be used. However, your color accuracy, your colors are not going to be accurate. Like, your color accuracy is going to be almost non-existent because of the fact that they are different colors. This is why you get those orange or like red type faces. This is why some of your reds come out looking orange, why some of your greens are way too bluish, why some of your royal blues look more purplish. It's because those printers are meant to take an ink that's like this, or that's dark like this. So here is dye ink, pigment ink. So many website. Dye inks, pigment inks, and sublimation ink. So big difference in how those colors are mixed. So hopefully that helps you kind of understand why the professor. So if you've ever wondered why I'm never screaming, go get a 15,000, go get a 2,700 or 4,700 or whatever these eco tanks are. The only eco tanks you'll ever hear me recommend is a 16,600 or 16,650. If I can get someone to put that in the comment section. So the only ones I'm going to ever recommend is the 16,600, 16,650. Okay. So now that we've kind of seen that, only ones I also don't have. Oh, also, when it comes to this, we see how dark this is. This is supposed to be a water-based eco-solvent ink. When it comes to using the water-based eco-solvent inks, you can only use this on printable HTV. You would not be able to print to adhesive vinyl to be able to create decals, stickers, helmet decals, things of that nature. You would only be able to use this because there's no heat on those printers. You would only be able to use this for HTV. You cannot convert an Epson printer and be able to use it for decals, okay? Whereas the ink from my Roland, if you look at the yellow on it, it looks yellow. So even if I go, where is it? Like here, you can see there, it's yellow. If I look at the top of this ink and some of it is dry, it's still orange-like. So they are not the same. They are not created equal in any way, shape, or form. Is water-based eco-solvent and true eco-solvent, which is an oil-based ink, they are not the same in any way, which is why you cannot do the same. You can start off and it becomes like, oh, that's my Roland going off, doing a self-maintenance. It becomes a like kind of a starter. It's like a hack. You can use the smaller printers just to kind of, if all you want to do is like shirts and things like that, but it's not the same. And I don't really have my Sawgrass one. That is a gel-based ink, so it doesn't move like this. So if you were to have that in a bottle and how it moves, it's different, which is why you really should not take sublimation ink that's like this and put it in, even if it's a refillable Sawgrass. You should not be taking your your water-based ink and putting it in there, because it's gel and it moves differently. It's a lot thicker. It's a much thicker ink. There we go. Okay. All right. So let's break down the uses for these. So now that we kind of looked at color, before we go to the uses, laser printers, typically what they will have, it's what's called like an imaging drum. and like a lot of the, like first ones and stuff like that, you have what's like, that's why you have your toners. And then you also have to replace your imaging drum in a lot of these printers, because it's going to basically store. So once it goes, it puts this toner, which is like a powder. Oh, speaking of which, that's what helps this be water resistant. There is actually toner powder into the pigment ink, which helps it with it being resistant to water, because just like toner printers, when you're printing with the laser printer, it does not run. All right. But it's basically a powder. And like if you ever were to like look, like it comes out looking like dust, and you have an imaging drum, it will go on that drum. And why it prints out so fast is it's almost like the old school printing press. Your entire image will be on this drum, and then that drum is going to basically adhere to via heat. Laser printers, toner printers uses heat, which is why when they come out, the papers are so freaking hot. So it's going to transfer that entire thing to the paper, and it's going to come out. With offset printing, it prints it in colors, where it's going to lay down your yellow layer, like it's how it's separated. It will lay out your yellow layer all at once. It will lay out your magenta layer. It will lay out your cyan, and then it'll put your black on top. So those are like when it's going through, it's like processing colors, and it's going to do each color, and it's going to build and build and build and build and build. Okay. So what are they best used for? Sublimation, I'm going to start there because we are, a company that sells sublimation ink and paper, the best sublimation ink and paper. It allows you to print and press to items that are polyester or poly-coated. And well, we say polyester, but you'll find out in my seminar, there's actually a bunch of other fabrics and materials that you can sublimate to, because it's really about synthetic fibers, man-made fibers. Most people don't know. Sublimation is actually made of plastic, but it's the way that it is broken down and put back together to where it's not going to technically melt, but it does explain why. If I wanted a design in the middle of this, and I like just the middle, not the whole thing, and I cut around it, and I was to press it, it's somewhat melting this. So the edges of your paper will end up being this line of demarcation, because they're man-made and they're made up of broken down plastic. Also explains why you have the edge of the paper that shows up on your shirt. Also explains why when white is white, you're not going to see anything. But with your colored shirts, why you see that change of color wherever high heat was applied, because it's plastic. Okay. But it's great for things like this, whether it is like my shirt. So my favorite humans support my business 365 days a year. So you're able to press directly to this. It is embedded into the fibers. It's not topical, where like vinyl, eco-solvent vinyl, DTF, white toner transfers, all of that, they are topical. You are going to, I don't care how great it is, how thin it is. We have all these different methods, screen printing, everything. You can technically feel the difference between the fabric or the hard substrate and that material that's bringing forth the design. You can always tell. Sublimation is going to be the only thing that you cannot, unless it's being dyed. So like now I'm saying sublimation, so dyeing. So when you have cotton fibers and it is dyed into it, you're not going to feel that. But if you have something that's on top, so dyeing, so that's why they call it dye sublimation, because with cotton, you're dyeing like tie-dye, you don't feel the difference. So it's dyeing the fibers. Any process where you are dyeing the fibers, you're not going to feel it. But if you want to put a design on something that is already made and you're not like dyeing it, you will feel it no matter the method. Okay. Sublimation allows you to do so many different things. We did a live video before, and like we did the wallet, we did the sock, there's cards, we did can coolers, we did a photo slate, but it's just a slate. It's not really just for photos. I did the baby bib. We did a door hanger. We did puzzles. I've done so many videos before. Like you have, like someone just asked yesterday about garden flags. There's an infinite number of substrates that can be sublimated and used in so many different ways. You also can use sublimation to sublimate to like glitter HTV, glitter cardstock, to be able, I use that in the event space. So I utilize sublimation for so many things that most people don't even think to use it for, because I submit to things like glitter cardstock. I'm about to do some senior crowns. Most of the time for the young ladies, I'm submitting to glitter cardstock for that versus any other print method. It allows me to do full color designs and put pictures and things like that. And I'm not just limited to cutouts of letters, foam letters, or paper letters, and I have to glue them and all this other stuff to decorate it. So by me utilizing sublimation, I'm able to customize it. And I must say, 4 years in a row, everyone that has purchased a grad senior crown from me, when their school has a competition, they've all won. I'm like, I am like lit. And 1 year they literally went first, second, third with the ones who got crowns from me. So I'm like, she the bomb. So anywho, you can do like things like that when it comes to sublimation. It can be very beneficial. For me, for last minute shirts, it can be great. Even if there's no color, if it's a single color, it still works out. Like if somebody just wants a white shirt versus letting the machine cut it out, then I have to weed it, then I have to like press and do all this stuff. I'll use it for single color things. I have done tumblers and mugs with just one color on it. And that's it. Some people think that sublimation, you have to have all of these colors, and you don't. No print, just because you have access to cyan, magenta, yellow, and black doesn't mean that you have to use them all together and have this super, super crazy like printout. You can do just single colors like that. It's for me, sublimation made doing those simple tasks easier than doing the whole vinyl and cutting that out, transferring it, putting it on there. Okay, so my pigment ink and my dye-based ink, I've used those for I'm going to talk about for me, like, so what I've used them for. So for invitations, for shipping labels, for stickers, for menus, oh gosh. Even like, little centerpieces, like anything that you can print with sublimation is heat activated. You have to have heat in order to see the final color. What's on your paper is not going to be the final color. So you have to apply the heat. But when it comes to all these other methods, you don't need an outside, you don't need something else to make the colors pop. Once you print it, it's what you get. So like I said, I've used it for all these things, and you can use a dye-based printer, a pigment ink printer. You can use a laser printer for all of the same exact things. Anything that you can print with a dye printer, you can print with pigment ink, you can print with a toner printer. All of it is the exact same thing. The difference is longevity, durability, whether or not it's going to wash out, and depending on what you can print to. You cannot take printable HTV and use pigment ink on it. It's going to rub off. You can't go, like I said, you can't take a converted Epson printer and print to printable adhesive vinyl. You can print to sticker paper. You can print to this fake sticker vinyl. No such thing. I've done a video before that. I ripped it. No such thing as sticker vinyl. Just letting y'all know. People do that for marketing purposes. Like for me, I'm now using craft business and crafting as a marketing tool, even though it makes me cringe. Okay. So, hi, you're on both platforms. Let me know you got your order. Yes, she is killing the game over here on TikTok Shop. Yes, y'all go check out my girl. Yes, Divian and Creations, and she has rhinestones as well. So check her out. But yeah, so you can do like literally the same things. The dye-based ink, if color is more important for you, like you want those super saturated, really bright colors, even on matte regular paper, your dye-based inks are going to give you that. But with those, you have to seal it or you'll have to laminate it. You're going to have to do extra measures to protect that print, or you have to print to a waterproof paper, waterproof sticker paper, which costs more money than just regular sticker paper or regular cardstock. But you're going to get absolutely amazing colors. Okay. Your pigment ink, allowed to do the same. Oh, and then also, well, with pigment and dye inks, you can get softer colors better. Like when you have watercolors, they show up better with inkjet printers. Doesn't really matter which inkjet printer, but like they tend to show up a lot better when it comes to inkjet. Well, I'm not gonna say which ink because DTF, you don't get it. So like your dye base or your pigment ink printers, things like that, you get better colors, like softer colors, watercolors, things that fade out. You get better results with those two printers over using laser printer or toner printer. But you can print to regular paper and you're going to have great colors. With the pigment ink one, it doesn't really soak up into your paper like dye-based printer does. So your colors tend to look a little bit more vibrant, even on not so great paper. But the better your paper, so it doesn't matter which printer you use, the paper you use, I don't care, we're talking about regular print, sublimation, it makes a difference in the brand of printable HTV, printable adhesive vinyl. They're not all created equal. Some are brighter, some are lighter, some have like a yellow undertone, some have a blue undertone, some are pure white. So your paper, your media, your substrate will determine the final outcome of your colors, not necessarily the ink itself, not always. Okay. So you can print to these and on regular paper, it will look totally different than if you had dye-based ink. But the better the paper, you'll start to see it. Now, when it comes to laser and or toner printers, whether it's a regular with black or if it's with white, because it's toner, when you print it to certain things, if you bend it, so if you're doing like a booklet and things like that, and you're using this toner, over time, that book, and you're printing to, especially like heavy cardstock, it's going to start to crack. And it can flake off. I'm not sure if you've ever had a flyer, especially if it's printed on UV coated paper. You can almost over time, almost peel that off. But it's going to be better. Like those type of printers are better for longer runs and things of that nature. Inkjet printers really are not great for high volume in a fast time frame. So if you are someone and you're wanting to do bigger orders, you want these corporate, you want really large orders, you cannot think that you're going to be able to fulfill those within a timely manner with your inkjet printers or with your smaller printers that have a slower print speed. You may take up a whole day, a whole 2 days for one order, whereas somebody else, and you're wondering, well, how did they get to charge? How are they charging such a small amount? And I'm like, man, it costs me this much in ink. It takes me this long. I'm spending all day doing it. And you're thinking that they're trying to undercut the market or the industry. And it's not that. I have better equipment. I have faster equipment. I have equipment that's meant for commercial use. So I'm able to do more in a short period of time so I can get those out. And while you're still working on one order for 2 days, I've done 30,000 orders in those same 2 days. So you have to know like how you really want to use it and when it's time to upgrade. But with, like I said, with the toner printers, they can crack. When you have softer colors, they don't come off so soft. You don't see that nice like transition from the darker color to the lighter color, especially if you're going to white. But it's going to print faster. So things like obituaries and service programs, menus, when they need a lot of them, they typically tend to go to someone that has an offset printing, like offset printing or a digital printer or laser printer. Oh, and there's my guest, because it's they'll be able to print out more and produce more in a faster time. Okay. So that is your toner and like laser. When it comes to white toner, I see a lot of people using it for shirts. There are so many different ways to use shirts. And because we're thinking, oh, well, sublimation is limited, it's not limited. Like, I wish people stopped saying that. Sublimation is not limited. Sublimation is designed to work in a specific way. So just because you can't put a design on a cotton shirt, it was not made for that. So it's not limited. The same way that DTF is it's limited as well in what you can put it on. But if what your desire is to decorate cotton shirts, you have to choose the appropriate print method for that. But it doesn't mean that something else is limited. Because for me, if I want to do cups and things like that, DTF is limiting for me. Even eco solvent is limiting to me, right? So DTF and DTG are kind of sort of the same. DTG just prints it directly from the printer onto your garment, but it has the white ink and it puts basically a white underbase. That is the star of the show for both DTF, DTG, and white toner, is that it's going to give you the white ink, which is opaque. All of these inks are translucent. If you ever put them on something that is glass or anything like that, you're going to see through. It's going to be like a stained glass window. But DTF, DTG, white toner, they allow you to see colors, like even on darker substrates, because of the white underbase. Hold on one second. All right, so let me hurry up. We're gonna have to do this in a part 2 because my guests are here. But your toner printer can be used for so much more than just like t-shirts. The same way we make invitations and labels and stickers, you can do that with your white toner. When we get our white toner, I want it more so to be able to put things on acrylic, glass, and things of that nature. Yeah. Things of that nature. And when I was already on white toner, I was actually on, you distracted me. I was on DTF, DTG. I still was white toner as well. But they have that white underbase that allows you to put it on darker items. Okay. And then your eco solvent or latex, they're kind of sort of the same, but they have different durability based on where it's going to go. If it's going to be inside, if it's going to be outdoor, if it's going to be near salt water, if it's going to be, depending on like the elements, a lot of times for those casket wraps, they are doing those with latex printers or solvent-based printers so that they can print onto the same exact stuff that I printed for this. Is the same exact thing that they would use to do casket wraps and things like that. That's what they would use for the grave blankets, which is nothing more than if you go somewhere and you see a big old banner, That's the same thing. It's just printed long, and they're just going to lay that. There's nothing special. There's no special material for a grave blanket compared to a banner or a backdrop that you will see. I'm able to print decals. I'm able to print onto HTV. I'm able to print onto window cling with that. Unlike the converted one, you cannot do it when it comes to that one. Okay. So we're going to have to pause, and I'll be back for part 2 because you're going to take what? Me hold this. Give me that. Give me that. Which printer? Do you even have that printer?
No, we don't matter.
People coming in my office and stealing stuff. Tell them I'm taking this. If y'all haven't, done you a tumbler like this, you need to do one. All right, y'all. I gotta go. I'll be back for part 2 to go through everything. But until next time, guys, have a great one. Continue to unlock your creativity and be incredible. Peace.